All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Daily Update, my 1000 Days Challenge. This is day 215, so let's get things started. All right, so first and foremost, if you notice on the equity chart, it's actually the same equity table. It's actually the same as of yesterday. I actually entered a couple of long trade for both Ethereum, Chainlink, and also for Bitcoin, but that's more on the experimental trade setup and also on the price action I mentioned over here as well. So this was entered in representation of the experimental trade setup. So yeah. And reason being why I enter on the experimental trade setup with lower R is the sense that because I already have a sufficient position of 2R in terms of my main trading account setup. So generally, I do not overexpose myself when it comes to trading of any single particular pair. So that's something that I do take into consideration as well. Otherwise, if I didn't have any trades in terms of my main trading account for Bitcoin, then yes, I will consider entering a full position instead of experimental, which is a 50% of my usual position size. All right, otherwise, yeah, in terms of market structure on the daily update remains the same. There's no change in terms of market structure. On the daily chart or 4-hourly chart itself, you can see that Bitcoin is actually breaking towards the upside, which is something that I mentioned yesterday, especially we are forming somewhat like a higher high and higher low over here. So you have somewhat like a bullish market structure. And I did mention that potentially we could have somewhat like a breakdown, a forced breakdown and then breakout. And it exactly happened as what I mentioned, not saying that I can predict the chart itself, but this is a very nice setup that I like to trade. So if something like this happen, and what I do is I basically added a position over here and what I mentioned, and also move my stop loss up actually to over here to be conservative. So my first target is actually at around here, yeah, right over at around 52K region, and with a very decent risk to reward setup of 1 to 1.6. So I entered somewhere along here actually, and with a tighter stop loss actually. But basically, if it does hit 52K, which potentially it can, currently right now it's 51.7K, I'll take partial profit, which is actually full profit for my experimental trade setup. But otherwise, I'll continue to ride in terms of my main trading account setup because mid to long term wise, I'm still bullish in terms of Bitcoin. And particularly if you look in terms of the 4-hour chart, I see that it has broke above this downslope trend line, which is also a good news. So of course, you could draw over here, then again, you could have entered right over here. And there is something which I could have entered, but I've entered earlier with sufficient position as well. So yep, otherwise that's more or less about it in terms of this 52K mark exposure profit taking. Of course, you could always continue to trail it higher, which I am going to use it to continue to trail using this 20 exponential moving average. As long as price does not close below it, I'll continue to trail it. And until it breaks below somewhat like this, or even like this, then I will choose to close my trade setup. Otherwise, that's more or less about it. And if you have yet to enter a trade, then definitely I would not enter any long setup right now. But if you're looking for mid to long-term investment, then yes, you still could, because on the daily chart, we have a very nice, like I mentioned, potential support over here. We have a breakup. I could have entered yesterday or online time yesterday would have been a great place to add. Or of course, today you'll be a little bit too late, but still, I would think that it's still near the 20 exponential moving average on the daily chart, making it a good place to add as well. Otherwise, that's more or less about it. And I'll keep you guys updated and see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.